use these words. I am black but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem. So the Jesus, historic Jesus, was a black man. No, you don't have to applaud. That's not the Jesus that you know. Because they wanted to make sure that when you learned of Jesus, he would be in the image of your tormentor. So Michelangelo and others, they fixed up an image for Jesus. And that's what most of us have had on our walls and in our churches. But the Jesus had hair like lamb's wool. Just touch what's on top of your head. Good stuff, brother. That's the master's hair. And his feet were like burnished brass. He was a man of color. And it wouldn't make any difference to us if he were white. As long as he came from God with a message from God, we were duty bound to hear him, respect him, and follow him. It's not about color. It just so happened that he was a man of color, and white folks could not build a false religion on the genuine, real color of Jesus. What you have that you think are the teachings of Jesus is that of an organized religion that started in Rome and not in Palestine, where Jesus was born. Now, Jesus, if you really had the message of Jesus, oh, you wouldn't be in the shape that you're in today. You would be one of the most powerful brothers and sisters wherever you are with his message. Because the message of Jesus Christ, the true message, is so powerful that you could crush the power of Satan in your life and in the lives of others with the message of Jesus. So the greatest deception that has ever been perpetrated on the human family is what they have been taught about Jesus. Why would they teach the truth of him when he represents the end of their civilization? One man ending a world of wickedness. One man filled with the spirit of his father, destroying the foundation of a civilization based on lies. You don't need a gun. You think you have power when you have a gun. But the white man does not fear a gun because he has made a bigger one. But what he fears is truth that can expose the foundation of his civilization that's based on a lie. So the Jesus said, he who builds his foundation on falsehood is like a man building a house on sand. But he who builds his house, his civilization, his world on truth is like a man building a house on a rock. That when the winds blow, a house built on sand will fall, but the house built on a rock will stand. So Jesus said of Peter, on this man, not a spook, not a spirit, but on this man I will build my church or my community, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Now just think about that. Now we're living in hell. We're living in the most powerful nation that has ever been on the earth in the last 6,000 years. You look up in the sky, and everywhere you look, you see planes, his planes, conquering the sea, sending ships down to the depth of the ocean to study the life that others could not see, sending his contraptions to the moon to walk around the moon and take rocks from the moon and bring those rocks back to study what are the components of the matter that makes up the moon. Spending billions of dollars to send a contraption to Mars that has cameras that can look at the terrain and scoop it up. Cameras that can send images back to Earth from Mars. He's a conqueror of the depths of the sea, the power of the air. He masters the land. His armies, his navies, his air force, they have no equal. But yet, in his house, God has come. Just as it was in Egypt land, where the children of Israel had been under Pharaoh's tyranny for 400 years, God came, fulfilling what is written of him. He came to see, the book says, whether the cry of his people was altogether what he had heard. He said, I heard your moaning and your groaning under your slave master. Georgia, you know what that means. Mississippi, you know what that means. Alabama, you know what that means. And every day that we read of another black man shot down in cold blood, by the hatred of an enemy that now wears a police uniform. It makes us to know that we are still under tyranny. So the young have gone out in the streets with signs saying, hands up, don't shoot. But I'm here to tell you, don't put your hands up. Because that makes you defenseless. And every time we put our hands up, he shoots us down. The only life you have is the one that you have. And for you not to fight like hell to keep that life, then you don't deserve the life that God gave you. I want you to listen to me very well. There's nothing wrong with fighting. Every animal has something with which it fights to protect its life. Have you ever tried to kill a cockroach? He ain't standing around waiting. When the light come on, cockroach move. Because he knows when the light comes on, death is on its way to him. Mice and rats, they flee. So we are going to have to decide soon whether we will fight for the life that the Creator gave us to keep it. And even if you have to take the life of the one who's trying to take your life, then so be it. I didn't bring my Holy Quran and I didn't bring my Bible, but I just want to talk to the students today. I'm so honored that you came, because as a man of 82 years of age, not knowing how much time I have left, you are the most important people in my life right now, because you will be here when I am gone, and I want to make sure that you've got the requisite knowledge that will see you through a dark day into the light of a brand new day and a brand new world. Now, a lot of young people refer to themselves as the Joshua generation. Have you heard that expression? Don't fool yourself. You could be that, but you're not that now. No. Joshua generation is not an integrationist. No, the real Joshua. Moses, who was the predecessor of Joshua, was not an integrationist. God commanded him to say a few words to Pharaoh. He was terrified because the God that he met in a burning bush told him, go and tell Pharaoh that I said to let my people go. And Moses said, well, who should I tell him sent me? And look at his answer. He said, tell him, I am that I am. Oh, wait a minute now. Now, those of you who study English, you know, I am is the present tense, right? And those of you who know how to conjugate words, you know that when he says I am, that means I'm present. I'm here. I'm here. I exist. That I am. Meaning I'm God. I'm present. I'm directing you, Moses. Go tell him. Now, Pharaoh was a bad dude. Excuse the expression. He was a powerful man. But when God appears, what appeared powerful sinks into insignificance if you know who the I am is that has now presented himself in your life. Moses started putting up excuses. He said, now, you know, I have a stammering tongue. I don't speak plain. Could you send my brother with me, Aaron? God didn't answer his weakness. God opposed his weakness with a question. Who made your mouth? I made your mouth, and I made the ears that you were going to speak to. Just go and do as I have said. But I'll give you your brother, Aaron, but he won't be what you want him for. He'll be what I'm giving him to you for. Because you want him because he's eloquent. But I'm going to give you your brother because in him is what is necessary to help you, Moses, accomplish your mission. Just listen. Moses was frightened. Anybody that has a great commission, when they first get it, they're very afraid. But don't feel bad if your heart flutters when you see a fight coming. But summoning the strength of your being to fight. See, then the hormones in your body give you greater strength than you had before fear shook you. If you work beyond your fear. So fear is something to be challenged. Because it's the one thing that reduces you to less than what you are and less than what you're capable of doing. Did you hear me? Fear. Moses began to lose that fear as he saw the hand of Jehovah aiding his mouth. I remember being with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad one day, and he said, brother, he said, I sometimes would say things to see if God would answer my saying. And when I said it and he answered it, I said it again. And then I learned that my will was his will. I don't know why he told me that, but I started trying it. This is true. But I spoke of destruction, and he answered. Not once, not twice, several times, and I stopped doing it. Because it's something when you learn your connection to the divine supreme being, it's a frightening experience. And those of you who may have been at ITC this morning, see, you heard something and you saw something. If you are wise enough to look at what you saw and properly interpret it, you saw a man with no notes walk through Scripture with students of Scripture and teach them what they had never heard. And I have never been in a theological seminary except to tell the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I never graduated from college. I can't tell you I have a BS behind my name. You can take that any way you want to. And I can't tell you that I have a MS or MA, a PhD. I don't have none of that. But as it was with Jesus, they said, how come this man, having not letters, is learned? See, you don't need to go to college to really become wise. Sometimes you go to college and become a fool. And sometimes when you got weak administrators, they'll never allow you to really become strong. Because they are there to please forces that you don't see. So to charge us money, to give us an inferior education that will not allow us to compete in the world of knowledge and ideas is a robbery that must be paid for. How dare you charge the grandmothers and mothers and fathers of these students the kind of money that they have to come up with, and they come out of college with a useless degree, begging white people to give them a job. And now you students are coming out of Morehouse, Clark, Atlanta, there's no job out there for you. The president had a jobs bill. It never passed. And even if it did pass, it would only guarantee 3 million jobs. And history says we the last hired and the first fired. So do you think that those jobs will come to us when white people are out of work? No. If we are not strong enough to create a job for ourselves, then looking to others to give you a job is a waste of your valuable time and a waste of your parents' money. And if you got a student loan, then when you graduate, you're already a slave. Because debt is another form of slavery. And some of the elders that may be here that graduated with student loans, right now the government is on your case. And if you got a job, they're interfering with your job, garnishing your pay. You got to pay the student loan. See, that's three-card Molly. They're playing a game with our lives. We got to pay back for an education that ain't worth a damn. I want to talk to you, students, because you are the sacred generation of Joshua. Joshua was no punk. So you can't be the Joshua generation wearing punk ideas and punk action. I've been punked. Ain't that something on TV? Joshua generation are warriors. Why? Because Joshua was sent to spy out a land. Dr. King, one of the great men of our time, the night before he was assassinated, in that speech, he said, I have been to the mountaintop, and I've looked over and I have seen not the promised sky, but the promised land. Then he said, I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land. What land? What land? When we finished slavery in the early 1800s, the late 1800s, we had 16 million acres of land. Did you hear me? 16 million. How many you got now? 3 million or less. If you have no land, you have no basis to build an economic reality. If you don't own land and don't know how to work land and don't know how to build on the land, then you're a slave. So don't call yourself the Joshua generation and you don't want to take the land that has been spied out already for you. See, Joshua was no punk, and neither was the Joshua generation. I want to talk to you today. I want you to look at your discipline, the course that you're studying. What is your major? Well, my major is sociology. Good. What do you learn? Well, yeah, what did I learn? I'm coming out of school with a BS degree. In that order. You coming out to BS your way through. A sociology degree. Now you're supposed to be able, if you have such a degree, to use that skill to help solve social problems. Am I correct? And with a BS degree in sociology, you're just getting started, so you go on and pay more money and get your master's degree. And if you're lucky, you go on a little further, you get your PhD degree in sociology. That means you're a doctor. As a doctor of sociology, we should be able to heal the social condition. Now let's look at the social conditions. You got 50% or more of black children dropping out of school. 50% or more. All the jobs that used to be in cities that gave unskilled labor a chance to make an earning to feed a family, all those factories have closed, moved out of the city, gone. So you got a degree in sociology, so what are you going to do now to heal the jobless condition of black people? Because the jobless condition at a time like this has put so much pressure on the minds of black men and women that we are breaking down mentally. So they have pills now. They know you were going to break down because they created circumstances through social engineering that they know we were going to fall victim to. Sociology. And with it, you have psychology. Oh, Lord. So you're studying Mr. Jung. And what's the other guy? Freud. You could say fraud. Because whatever you got, try it on the children when you're doing your practice teaching. See if your psychology works. You have methods courses. Methods to how to transmit the knowledge that you've received. Try it out. See how it works. In the classroom, the children are so hyped up, you can't even teach them because you have to discipline them in order to first teach them. Their minds are so quick, so fast. And your ability to teach those minds is so slow till they break up the classroom with bad behavior. And then we send them somewhere where they recommend a shot. What is in the shot? It's a little light heroin. Now you come back to class. Oh, there's Johnny. Johnny is so quiet. Now you can teach the rest of them, but the brightest students in your class are the ones you don't know how to handle. Here are babies in front of TV with computer knowledge, 2 and 3 years old. You don't have to bother them. Johnny's now stop playing around Johnny. Johnny's at the TV. He's working, playing them games. His hands moving fast. And then you want to slow him down with Mary Had a Little Lamb. School is messed up. See, education is not a human need. It's a human right. And when somebody deprives you of an education that will allow you to develop your skills and gifts and talents to be able to order a society, build a world. Mr. Zuckerberg did not graduate with a degree. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. If that man that built that iPhone is not from God, I don't know who is. Because now you can reach the world in an instant. You can go into libraries and read books about any subject that you desire. So what the hell do we need to spend all day in a school for when we can dial up what we want to learn and come away a master? You are being trained to be an educated, no, a trained slave. Joshua generation. When somebody spies out some land that God wants to give you, you got to work that land. You got to develop that land. You got to look into that land and see what minerals and whatnot of value is in that land so you can extract it out of that land and use it to build houses, build roads, build whatever you need. That's why land was what was promised, and that's why Dr. King said, I may not get there with you, because we weren't talking land. We were talking integrating a counter that was owned by your enemy when in the ghetto or in the hood or in the place where we lived throughout the South. We had our own counters. We had our own places. They weren't as grand as white folks' places, but they were ours. We had bus companies. We had insurance companies. We had businesses in our community that served our needs. So if white folk didn't want us in their establishments, we said, to hell with you, we'll build our own. That was our spirit. But today, now we can sit in the lunch counter or at Wendy's or at McDonald's, and I'm loving it. They killing me with bad food, and I don't have sense enough not to follow my taste, but to follow the effect of what my taste is doing to my body by the mess that I'm eating called food. But yet in all the colleges that I've been to that were agricultural and technical colleges, I asked the students, how many of you are in agriculture? It was almost like they had never heard of it. If we are not involved in agriculture, then why would God give you land? Why would the Joshua spy out the land for the Joshua generation? What do you think you're going into the land to do? Let's talk. How come we who once were healthy are now leading in every field of cancer? Breast cancer, uterine cancer, bladder cancer, brain cancer, kidney cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. How did we get so messed up like this? You're very sick. And many of you that are young, you don't even realize that you are dying as you are trying to live because of what you put in your mouth that tastes good but ain't worth a damn. Did you see that documentary on McDonald's? Super Size Me? You didn't see it. You didn't see it. Wasn't it great? A man wouldn't eat nothing but McDonald's for 30 days. And that was sufficient. At the end of the 30 days, they told him, you have to stop, otherwise you will die. So the enemy is killing us off through our taste buds. How you doing, college students? How's your sexual appetite? What, did I say something wrong? Did I ask the wrong question? See, you beautiful young girls are discovering, and boys, discovering yourself as a growing, maturing young man and woman. And you know, you've been eating chicken that have been laced with hormones. You've been eating pork that has been fattened unnaturally to get it to the marketplace early. You've been eating lamb and beef, and then you're eating fish out of polluted waters. Look at yourself now. And the enemy is affecting us in ways that we don't understand. Let me give you an example. See, we are chemical creatures. This body is chemistry. But it's chemistry at work if it's working normally and naturally for the preservation and maintenance of the life of this body. But you can interfere with the chemistry of the body by what you ingest. Let me give you an example. Have you seen this ad on TV? One of the side effects of this pill, if you start developing breasts, stop using it immediately and see your doctor. Now, you don't have to say that to a woman who's developing a breast. That's natural for her. But if a man is taking this pill and he starts seeing something happening with his body, then they say, oh, and be careful, because this pill, one of the side effects is you may have suicidal thoughts. So chemistry can produce thoughts that make you want to kill yourself. Chemistry can produce thoughts that make a man think he's a woman. Chemistry can produce thoughts that make a woman think she's a man. Chemistry. When I was a young man coming up, we had homosexuals during that time. And nobody was showing out, you know. That was just what it was. But most of the homosexuals were young men that were abused by some young man or old man. So when you are abused as a young man, as you grow up, you can become an abuser. The sisters that are in this audience, is very few of you that have grown to maturity and have not been abused by some man. Could be your father. That's a hell of a devastating thing for a young girl who trusts her father, who loves her father, to find him sneaking in the bedroom at night. See, these are the kind of teachings you need to prepare you to cope with your own life that is being destroyed. Because once a woman